What's going on, everyone? Today we take a look at an all-in-one video conferencing device from Logitech geared toward that small to mid-sized room, the Rally Bar Mini. Certified for Microsoft Teams rooms and Zoom rooms, the Rally Bar Mini has an adaptive beamforming microarray with full duplex audio and a pickup range of 4.6 meters. Optionally, you can add up to 2 additional Rally mic pods. The main camera provides resolutions up to 4K with motorized pan and tilt and RightSight for auto framing. The AI viewfinder provides your AI functions like the people counting feature. The pre-installed stand on the bottom of the device allows it to sit on a flat surface at the front of the room, or optionally the stand can be removed and you can use either wall mounts or TV mounts for mounting the device above or below displays at the front of the room. So, what's in the box with the Rally Bar Mini? You've got the Rally Bar Mini itself, you've got these lens covers to A, address privacy concerns, and B, protect the lenses from getting scratched. This larger cover fits over the main lens, and the smaller cover has a magnetic rim around it, allowing it to cover the AI viewfinder. You of course have your Bluetooth remote control. There is a little cradle that it sits in with a slight magnetic attachment so that it doesn't slide out of there very easily. The bottom of the cradle itself has 3M sticky tape on it so that you can remove these covers and have this adhered to the table, making sure it doesn't slide around or get lost. Taking a closer look at the remote itself, you'll notice we've got a team sticker right there in the middle. The device comes with a small sticker that you can remove and place on that button. As it is certified for Microsoft Teams, it is intended to have a Microsoft Teams button. The remote can also be used for adjusting your volume as well as managing the PTZ functions of the camera. Depending on what mode you're running the Rally Bar Mini in, the remote will perform different functions. Of course, we've got cabling. There is a USB-A to USB-C cable. There is also an HDMI cable. And then we've got our power cables that come with it as well. And last but not least, you've got your setup guide for the Rally Bar Mini over here as well. The back of the device has a cable management system allowing for cables to be routed up or down, as well as the power and reset functions. Taking a look at the buttons on the back of the device, we've got our power button over on the far right side. We've got a Bluetooth connectivity button here for allowing us to connect one or more than one Bluetooth remote, and we've got the reset button on the far left. The cover to the device is held on by a couple of screws. Once removed, you can safely remove the lid and set it off to the side. We can see that we have grooves in the top and bottom for routing those cables out. And then again, like the Rally Bar, you've got 2 rows of purple rubber grips to hold the cables in place should they go out the top or out the bottom. The direction in which the cables go out of the Rally Bar Mini are not the same direction in which the cables plug in on the sides. This means that if a cable gets tugged or pulled, they will not easily pull out of their port. They will kind of get stopped with the rubber grip before any kind of pressure is put on the ports themselves. Taking a look at our ports on the right-hand side, we've got our HDMI in up top. You've got 2 HDMI outs right here side by side. These will go to your front of room displays. This is obviously for bringing a signal in from a laptop or other device. Then we've got our Ethernet connection right there. And at the very bottom, we've got a USB-C connection. Our ports on the left start with our power at the very top, mic pod right there, and then we've got 3 different USB-A ports all right there on the left. We're going to be setting up the Rally Bar Mini as a standalone Microsoft Teams Rooms on Android device for our example and demo today. This means that instead of using the Rally Bar Mini as an external USB device only connecting to a small form factor Windows PC, we will instead rely on the onboard CollabOS Android operating system. With that, we are going to set this up as a single display unit today. We could have it be a dual display, but we're going to be using 1 HDMI cable for that display. We're going to be connecting Ethernet so that our onboard operating system has internet connectivity. We're of course going to plug in the power over here, and we're going to control the device using a Logitech Tap. So we'll plug in a USB-A connection here from the Tap itself. If you want to see an example of using a touch display for your controller instead of the tap or instead of a remote, check out the on-screen link that I am putting on right now that shows the Rally Bar video. In that video, we use the on-screen touch interface rather than a tap. Okay, let's go ahead and get this thing cabled up to be used as a Microsoft Teams Rooms on Android device. First up, our power. While we're on this side, we'll plug in the USB-A that comes from our Ethernet to USB converter for the tap itself. Plug it right into one of these USB-A ports. There we go. Next up, we've got our HDMI cable. We'll go ahead and plug this into the HDMI TV 1 spot. And that will connect to our single display that we're setting this up with. And we'll get our Ethernet cable plugged into the Ethernet port here as well. Now, we want to guide all of our wires nicely around the screw plastic components here. Put them through the rubber grips. This will ensure everything stays in place and doesn't get tugged. Put our power up through here. You'll notice this also allows us to make sure that we don't have any sharp crimps in our cables. Those cables get crimped, they can get ruined. You want everything to have a nice wide curve as it goes in and out of the cable management system. And finally, we want to take the cover that will fit right into place there. When it's all in place and all the cables are neatly tucked down, everything should be flush. We shouldn't have edges of the cover sticking out. We should have a nice smooth edge on both sides. And here we can see edges are nice and smooth, both sides. If the edges are sticking up a little bit, you've got a little bit of a lip there. It might be that your cables are overlapping or not properly tucked down or above. You'll need to get them all flattened out, and then things should close nice and flush. With everything cabled up, we've got our Rally Bar Mini perched up on a little stand over here to give us some eye level height. We've got a Logitech Tap, that center of room touch controller, sitting below so that we can walk up and control our meetings from that interface. And then we've got our single display set up off to the left. Again, you could set this up as a dual display with the Rally Bar Mini, but we're only doing single display for now. With everything cabled up properly, we plug in the power for the Rally Bar Mini, and it comes to life going through its initial boot up. As it comes on, we see that green LED indicator light up, letting us know that it is online. It's going to go through its boot up cycle. We'll see the display come to life with the Rally Bar Mini waking up. We now see the tap recognized. It has the on-screen instructions, and our display prompts us to continue setup on the Logitech Tap. Once the Rally Bar boots up for the first time and we see our display prompting us to continue our setup on the Logitech Tap that we've got here, we go through an initial setup screen. We've got United States selected, and we'll keep it that for our purposes. We're going to change this to Eastern Time Zone as long as I can find it. There we go, because I'm in Florida, and we'll leave the language set to English United States so that I do not get confused. You say next. Obviously you want to read through the important parts there and hit agree. And then the network setup uses DHCP with that Ethernet cable that we plugged in earlier to establish a connection to the Logitech servers. It finds out whether or not there are any updates to apply. If there are, it'll prompt you to apply them and install the firmware update before you get started. I have already applied the firmware update, so we can move along with the actual selecting and setup of Teams Rooms. If you'd like to see the process of updating the firmware at that initial boot up, again, check out the Rally Bar setup video where we actually go through that in the video. On the Select Video Service Provider screen, you see a number of pre-configured apps that the Rally Bar Mini is certified to work with. You've got Zoom Rooms, Microsoft Teams, Ring Central, Pexip, GoToRoom, and newly Tencent Meeting. There's also this BYOD mode. You're going to use this if the room is intended to be either a BYOD USB peripheral room. In other words, you walk into the room with your laptop, you connect to the Rally Bar with a USB and HDMI cable to leverage the display and camera, speakers, microphone that are all built into the Rally Bar. Or you can put it in BYOD mode and connect it to a small form factor Windows PC that is running a certified version of Windows 10 for either Zoom Rooms or Microsoft Teams. That would be, in Microsoft Teams case, MTROW. For today's purposes, we're configuring with MTROA, which is Android, and that means we're putting the device into appliance mode using the Microsoft Teams app. Forgive the colors on the screen here. Once it switched into dark mode, it made it a little harder to see on the camera. We say next once we select Teams, and it lets us know about the sticker that we talked about earlier. Since we're using it in a certified Microsoft Teams fashion, that Teams button goes on that, or the Teams sticker rather, goes on the button that will leverage those native Teams functions that are part of the certification program. Skip that. Logitech Sync portal, this is an optional step. Logitech Sync is a device management portal that provides firmware updates, advanced diagnostic reporting, all kinds of good stuff there, but we're going to skip for now. And then we come to our installation summary. We can see the room name, service provider up top, all of our network stuff below that. If we go to connected accessories, we can see that we've got our remote that is already connected with Bluetooth, and we've got the Tap that is connected via USB. If we click on equipment tests, we have a number of things we can test out before we launch. We click on camera image, and on the screen here, again, pardon the colors, but we see a bunch of directional controls to test out PTZ, our zoom level, our direction pad, and then coming over to the display, we've actually got the camera on right now. RightSight is enabled, so RightSight is looking for me, and once it finds me, it is giving the most optimal frame based on what it sees in the room. With RightSight, if there was another person that walked in the room and stood beside me, the camera would again readjust to make sure that we were both seen optimally. I'm going to step over to the side just so that RightSight can do its thing again. You'll see that there I am, zooms in, voila. So there we go. That is RightSight at work, making sure, using that AI viewfinder camera, making sure that it finds the individuals in the room and frames it out properly. If we come on down here, we can use these buttons to adjust the camera manually. So first I'm going to zoom in and out. We will zoom in. Oh yeah, we're gonna get scary close. Maybe that's a little too, let's back away. Okay, so we back out. Now we can use our directional pad to kind of go up. We can go over to the side. We go over to the other side. We come down a bit. You got that Logitech scribe in the background there, and then we hit the home button to bring us back. All right, camera test went well. Things are looking good. Coming back down to our other tests, we've got our speaker test. We can play that, and we can adjust our volume. We'll leave it right there, roughly in the middle. And we can test our microphone. You need to record a message. Hello, we are recording a message using the Rally Bar mics. Hello, we are recording a message using the Rally Bar mics. That sounded like it worked fine to me. And then network connection. We are already successfully connected to these servers. We do have a good connection. All great there. With that in mind, we can go to the next screen, and we've got using BYOD mode. What this means is that even though we're putting the device in appliance mode and using it as a Microsoft Teams Rooms on Android, we can still optionally put a HDMI ingest cable in there along with a USB to C to USB A cable, and we can connect those cables to a laptop that we bring into the room and allow the laptop to run whatever meeting it wants on its own using the Rally Bar Mini camera, mics, speakers, and the display in the room. Once you disconnect those two cables, the room goes back to the Microsoft Teams Room app that it was on before that. Camera presets, this just walks us through how to set the camera presets. And finally, it lets us know our installation is complete. At this stage, we're ready to log in. I'll go ahead and get signed in to our room account that we have licensed with the Microsoft Teams Room Standard license. And with that, we are signing in using the Microsoft Teams Room app on the Rally Bar Mini. As this room is using a Microsoft Teams Room Standard license, it is licensed for Intune, so we have to go through that auto enrollment period. It's now going through its regular screens. And once it's finished, we will see the expected Microsoft Teams Room interface here. We've got our Meet Now button. We've got the More button. This gives us Meet Now feedback and share capabilities as well as volume control. And if we go into settings, we can control our meeting settings here. Clicking on those, you can see we've got show meeting names, proximity join, and allow remote control of a room system, all enabled by default. Report an issue, about, you can come in here for app versions. And if we go back out one level, we've got device settings. We are prompted to enter the admin password to get into it. I do recommend setting that to something different than the default for security. And then in here, you can go and connect the sync portal after the fact if you want to. You can check for updates here. You can do your display and audio. We already checked out the camera setup earlier, but we can change the settings for our actual display if we want to. If we go into audio, we can test speakers and microphone, which we already did. There are some cool other features in here. Speaker boost, AI noise suppression, which is turned on by default. And then we've got reverb control, which is set to normal, but you can disable it or put it to aggressive. And then we've got some equalizer settings below. And our appearance, we're at dark right now. We could change this to light if we wanted to. We'll leave it as is. We've got our camera once again. We can turn on or off RightSight here. Right now it's set to dynamic, but if we wanted to change it to on call start or off, we could. We can also turn on room occupancy. It's off by default. We can turn it to always on or only during meetings. And then of course there's the camera image test, which we already did. Coming down to connectivity, we already tested our connectivity. Our peripherals will show us what's connected. We've got a remote in here. We can pair more than one remote if we want. We've got the Logitech Tap that is connected. We see it's connected. We see its firmware version. And then we've got the mic pod. Going back to Logitech Tap, the table mount makes sure that the orientation is as we see it now. If we selected wall mount, it flips it upside down because when you mount it on the wall, it's actually in that inverted position. So we'll go back to table mount. That way things don't appear upside down to us. Mic pods, we have no mic pods connected. If we did, we would see them here. And then system, this is where we can change our service provider. Right now, the service provider is Microsoft Teams. If we wanted to, and if we had licensing for the other service providers, we could. Or if we wanted to change this to a Microsoft Teams Rooms on Window room, we would go in there and change it to BYOD mode, or just put it into BYOD mode if that was the desired mode to run it in. Calling settings and then signing out of the Teams Room app is nestled into these admin controls. Regional settings, we set those earlier, but you can also come in here to adjust your formatting for date and time, and then internet time is set to auto configuration by default. On the security side, we do have the ability to upload a CA certificate right there. And then on power saving features, power saving mode is currently turned off, which means our display will always stay on and so will the device. It won't go to sleep. We want it to go to sleep when we're not in the room, and we want it to use either the Logitech Tap sensor or that AI viewfinder. Now, if you were going to use the camera cover for the AI viewfinder, that wouldn't do you a lot of good, so you would definitely need the tap sensor. Keep in mind that the tap sensor is only relevant if you've got a tap in the room. If you don't have a tap in the room, you'll want to use the AI viewfinder, meaning you won't want it to be covered if you need power saving features. And what do we do for our display controls? We're saying turn off the display. Finally, if we come into the About section, on our device info, we can see all the model, serial number, host name, different versions for the different apps and agents that are running on it. And then we can come down here and get device firmware information as well. Going on down to the hardware side, we get some MAC addresses, terms, conditions, all that fun stuff. Our analytics and logs are enabled, and the shutdown and reset gives us the ability to restart the device, shut it down, only reset the network and wireless settings, or do a factory reset completely. Finally, we can report an issue. And that is it for the settings tucked away into the CollabOS operating system. For our demo, we're going to get a meeting scheduled and join the meeting using our tap, and we will join the meeting on the other side from a laptop. We'll show you what the meeting experience looks like on the room system itself, and then we'll show you the other side, the laptop side, so that you can see the camera image from the Rally Bar Mini coming through on the far end. Okay, we have scheduled our first meeting. On the display, you can see it in the calendar section, Rally Bar Mini Demo Meeting. You also have that right here on the tap. The meeting shows up top and it has our one-touch join button. I'm gonna go ahead and click that join button, or tap it as it were, and we get joined into the meeting. Right away on the display, you can see the far end video coming from the laptop that I have joined across the room. That laptop is using a Logitech Brio looking over at us from across the room. Coming over to our Logitech Tap, we have joined the meeting. We have our meeting info on the left, participants on the right, and all the regular usual suspects for your meeting controls right there at the bottom. Notably, we can control our volume up and down right here. We can turn our camera on and off, as well as our microphone on and off, and then we can hang up the call from there as well. And as we look at the meeting on the far end on the laptop, this is what the video looks like coming through at the far end. My lighting isn't so super great in here, but if I move on over, we'll see RightSight kick in, find me, frame back in, and that would be kind of the experience of someone moving in the room or having RightSight need to autocorrect, reframe, etc. So there you go. I'll move back over here and we'll see RightSight kick in and do its thing one more time. And that is the Microsoft Teams meeting experience using a Rally Bar Mini in MTRO-A Android mode, and the laptop experience as the external participant. You kind of get that video input on the far end. So while we use the Rally Bar Mini in appliance mode, we specifically demoed Microsoft Teams Rooms on Android. As you saw earlier, there are many service providers to choose from. But while we used it in appliance mode, meaning we're using the onboard CollabOS Android operating system, keep in mind that BYOD mode enables you to do two things. One, use it as a truly bring your own device scenario, or two, use it as a USB peripheral for your camera, mics, speakers, and the display to bring into a Microsoft Teams Rooms on Windows or Zoom Rooms on Windows experience. Of course, you need to be running the proper Windows 10 build for each respective platform, and you need to be licensed appropriately to sign in on each of those platforms. But those are the different ways that you can configure the Rally Bar Mini and use it in your conference rooms. As always, I thank you for watching. I hope it was helpful. If it was, please retweet on Twitter, share it on LinkedIn, push it to all the social medias everywhere, and I hope that we will see you back here for the next product overview video. If you are not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe link below so you don't miss out on any of the future goodness. We'll see you next time.